Till now, we learned about simple linear regression, multiple linear regression, ridge regression, lasso regression. But the thing that's common in all the regressions that we learned till now is that they predict the continuous values. They don't they're not predicting the categorical values. They predict continuous values. The answer can range from 0 or minus infinity to plus infinity. But what if the answer that you want, or like the model which you're trying to make, is only going to give you categorical values like yes or no, like yes or no, or 1, 2, 3 only, or 4, 5, 6. That's it, nothing else. In that particular reason, that particular like situation, we don't use the linear regression, because what will that do if we'll have any outlier, a small outlier, even that outlier can make the whole logistic regression line very far away from the best fit line. So for that, we use the logistic regression. Logistic regression uses a function called sigmoid function. The function of sigmoid is 1 by 1 plus e to the power minus x. We'll see what exactly sigmoid is. So we'll first see what is logistic regression and why we use it. Pop it off. Okay. Why and what is logistic regression? Why we use it? So logistic regression produces a result in a binary format, which is used to predict the outcome as categorical dependent variable. It can be 0 or 1, true or false, yes and no, high or low, anything, any categorical value. It can. It's not only limited to binary classification. We can have multiple classification, like which type of season it is, sunny, rainy, winter. It can guess also, like more than 2 also it can guess. So that's what logistic regression is. Now, why we use logistic regression? Why not linear regression? So what our answer will be, we're considering currently for just binary classification. So the answer will only be 0 and 1. Okay. So if our answer for any of the value of x, our answer is going to be either 0 or either 1. So if we'll try to fit a linear regression line, it's going to be really bad for the model of the model, because just imagine we have some points here, then fine, our regression line can do some stuff. But just imagine we got an outlier, not even an outlier, like for really high x value, we're getting the value as of 1. Because of that particular 1 value, the whole line will get shifted towards this point, because the linear regression plan is to be as close as all the points as possible. That's the plan of linear regression. But this is not what we want in logistic regression. So what we try to do is, so any line which is below 0 or any line which is above 1, we try to scrap it and put it on 1 only. So what will happen like this? So if anything is below 0, we'll make it on the line 0. If anything is below above 1, we'll make it on the line of 1. Now, how exactly you're going to do it? It's not like you plot a linear graph and then you just break the graph in 3 parts. You have to use a function which is called logistic regression curve, which is also known as sigmoid curve. Now this is what a sigmoid curve looks like. The sigmoid curve has a domain of minus infinity to plus infinity, but the answer will only oscillate between 0 to 1. That's the only answer the logistic regression curve can give. 0 or 0 to 1, in between you'll get an answer. So what logistic regression will provide you, it provides in probability. It's like you gave some data and you wanted the answer, like is it going to be the value of 0, is it going to be the value of yes, or is it going to be the value of no. So what it will return you, the probability of being an yes and the probability of returning probability of being a no. So if you trained your models in a way, trained a logistic model, and you provided an input, it will return a probability. Like there's a 99% chance of this being yes and 1% chance of this being no. So we'll consider which has the highest amount, which has the highest probability is the answer. There can be chance like it can return like this the 50-50 chance of this being a yes and a no. At that particular moment, we decide, we just make a proper assumption. Like if it's 0.5, we'll take it as 1, or if it's 0.5, we'll take it as 0. It depends completely upon that. Other than that, if you'll get something else, if it's 51% to 14%, we'll take the 15% and we'll take that, okay, it's a yes. So that's what happens in logistic regression curve. Now, what is the math behind the logistic regression? So this is one of the things that you'll not like because it's a really big maths. So as I told you, mm, as I told you, it finds the probability. So what is the probability? Probability is, just imagine probability is P of X. The probability of happening is P of F, P of X. That's what a probability, like that's how you use in a probability function P of X. So the probability of anything happening is P of X. So the probability of anything not happening will be 1 by P of X. That's simple. That's the normal probability function. So that's what we did here. P of X is the probability happening divided by P of X, which is the probability of not being happening. Okay. Now we use to predict the odds of the success, like out of the percentage of not happening, how many percentage is there for happening, and we take the log of it, and we put it in a singular, like we try. Now beta of 0 plus beta 1 x will be a straight line, that proper linear line which we were trying to make. Like if we are not going for logistic, what kind of line we're trying to make? Like this line, this particular line. We're trying to fit this particular line into a logistic curve. So how we do that? We did that. Now we'll do the exponentially on the both the sides. So E of ln, this particular value is equal to E of this particular whole value. Now cancel E of ln will get cancelled because E of ln will be 1 only as usual. So P of x by 1 by P of x will give you e to the power beta 1, sorry, beta of 0 plus beta 1 x. Now let's y is equal to this particular value. Then P of x by 1 by P of x is equal to y, because it substituted the value of this particular term as y. Now this we got an answer. Now we send this particular denominator towards the left hand side, right hand side. We send it to right hand side, solve it a bit, solve it a bit. So at last we get that what is the probability of happening. Now, as I remember, in the very first time, very first line I said, like P of x will be the probability of happening. Like what is the probability of yes, like probability of that being happening, and 1 minus P of x, what is the probability of that being not happening. So the probability of happening is y by 1 minus y. And what is y? Y is this particular term. This is what this particular term is, y. Now we'll substitute the value of y towards the exact value what y is. So P of x stands for e to the power beta naught plus beta 1 x divided by 1 plus beta naught plus beta 1 x. Okay. Now what we did is we took this particular term 1 by beta naught plus beta 1 x and we divided it. Like we took it to the bottom and like we divided it. So what will happen? One divided this thing divided by the same number will give you 1. This thing divided by the same number will give you a number, like dividation thing, like dividing the numerator and denominator both. And this one divided, it will give you like 1 plus 1 by. You can do the math. I guess you can, like, I trust you that you can do the maths. Dividing it, sorry, dividing the e to the power this particular term, you'll get 1 plus 1 by e to the power beta naught plus beta 1 x. So 1 by e to the power something will be like, we'll just remove the what's called. We'll go to the take the denominator and put to the numerator. We'll put a minus sign to the power. So e to the power minus of beta naught plus beta 1 x. So we can see you got the probability. You got the probability by just putting the exact this particular line, the particular linear regression line, into this particular function. And this is what the sigmoid function is: 1 by 1 plus e to the power minus x. Sorry, not even x, y. 1 by 1 plus e to the power minus y, and y stands for that whole line which you're trying to make. So just imagine you have the normal points, you're trying to make a linear regression line. The line which you have got, you have to put it here, you have to put that line here, and then the probability that you'll get, then you'll get the probability curve, like that proper sigmoid curve, which you can put it in between 0 and 1. As you can see, what we're trying to do, we have this line, we put it in that function to make it something like this. Now what exactly to do, it's not gonna be like a straight line between also, it's gonna be a sigmoid curve like this. So as you can see, if you try to make that graph, it will always be between 1 to 0. It will never gonna go, the range is never gonna go across 1 to 0, 0 or 1. It's gonna be always in between. That's why it gives you a probability of what's gonna happen. Now this is the math behind it. Now I'll jump to the code. Code is one of the easiest code which you can see. As I told you, with logic regression. So as I told you, any of the code which you're trying to write in machine learning, it's going to be really easy. Nothing is there. Even to understand also, you just write one line. As I explained all the things which are happening behind it, like doing the exponential, logarithmic and all, and shifting it to a sigmoid graph, shifting it to the sigmoid function. That all thing just happens in this particular line. This particular line, everything gets happens. it's predefined, so you do not hold. So you do not even have to do anything by yourself in logic, in any coding. So that's why I am focusing more on letting you know what all maths are behind, because if you'll go directly jump to the code, you'll feel like all the things which are really all the things are really easy. You can just make any model if you want, but you'll not going to understand like what's going behind it. So now we'll go to the regression. We'll go to the regression code again. Pandas and matplotlib. We don't use numpy. We are not using numpy here because okay, sometimes we are not gonna use numpy because numpy gives you an array. Panda gives a data frame. Because we just took the data from a CSV file only. So we're going to keep it in a data frame, and we just manage everything in the data frame, only. We didn't need the NumPy array this time. So it's fine. But most of the time you'll need a NumPy array. This time we didn't because it's a really small code. As you can see, this is a really small code. Now, we import the pandas data frame. We imported the matplotlib and matplotlib inline to show the output without even typing plt.show. Now, we read the CSV file insurance.csv. Now, what is the insurance.csv file is? If I'll execute it again, head of, just imagine, show all the things which are there. So this graph gives you the age of the person. Now it's a rough data set. It's not like a really accurate, really big data set. It's a rough data set which I just made. So it has the age, and depending upon the age, if the people bought the insurance or not. Now you can see we are not guessing the age and the weight. So because if we're guessing using age, we're guessing the weight. The weight can lie in between any number from 0 to infinity. It can lie at any number. But insurance brought, it's gonna be either he bought the insurance or he didn't bought the insurance. So it's a categorical. It's not a continuous. It's a categorical data. So 0 stands for he didn't bought the insurance. If the answer is 1, it means he bought the insurance. So that's the data set we have. Depending upon the age, the guy bought the insurance or not. As you can see, we have 26 items only, not so big. Now we plot the scatter plot of df.age, like we took the age, df.brought the insurance, we made the marker as plus. Yeah, you can, as I told you, you can make marker as any sign you want, and then we made the color as red. So when we execute this file, we saw like if the people are below 40 or something, there's most probability there's a chance of that guy or that person not taking the insurance. If the person is more than 40, there's a high probability of that guy taking the insurance. Okay. So what are we gonna do? Now you can just imagine like this particular graph will fit perfectly here. There are some outliers here and there, but that's what a model is. Outliers are present. So you can fit a graph, a sigmoid graph here. So what we're gonna do, we use the train to split again. We're not doing the cross validation here. I already told you about what's cross validation. So when you're making a little small projects, like when you're just trying yourself, you do not have to go to cross validation each and every time, because cross validation is mostly important when you are like working in a company. That time you have to do the cross validation. Or you're making a really good project. That time you have to make a proper cross validation, because you have to be really precise with your accuracy. You cannot just randomly say accuracy. But here we are just learning about logical regression, so we're not doing the cross validation now. We're just using the train split. So we made the train test split using the age and the brought insurance, and we made the train size 0.9. So 90% will be the training size, 10% with the testing size. So we made the train test split. Now you can see that the test set is only 3 numbers. So as I said, the total number of set only is 28 or something. So testing is only going to happen on 3 features, like 3 attributes. So it's fine. We're just testing what is linear logistic regression is. So that's the test X. Now what we're going to do, we use the logistic regression. So the same library from which we find the linear regression or logistic linear regression or ridge or lasso, we're going to find logistic regression on the same function, same file, sklearn.linear model. Now we imported the linear logistic regression function. We made an object of that. Model is equal to logistic regression. Now, how to train it? We use the function dot fit. Everything like using the function dot fit, predicting by dot predict, it's gonna be similar in all the machine learning models. Even when you'll go towards the last of the even unsupervised learning, where you'll have what k-means classifications, density based DB scan and everything. That time also you're gonna use fit, dot fit, and dot predict only. So remember this thing: dot fit for training the data, dot predict for testing the data on the test data. So what we did, we gave the training data and the testing. We gave the training training input and the training output, like what all the answers are, dependent and independent variables. We train the data. As you can see, what I'll just tell you now what exactly it's written here. As you can see, if you'll click here, model.fit, and you will see what all things you can provide. Okay, this is what it returns. Now, if I'll go for logistic regression, like what all logistic regression can do. As I told you yesterday, like there are so many hyperparameters that you can change, like you can play with. Penalty, dual, toll, so many stuffs. And the things which is written beside this in the description is the default value. So when you're not giving anything, when you're not giving anything towards the logistic regression, it's gonna take the default value. So that's what it's showing. So this is the values, this is the value of the hyperparameters that the machine took. Now, if you want to make it more perfect, you have to play with the hyperparameters to get to know like which one will give you the highest accuracy. And to know how you're going to play with hyperparameters, you need to know like what's maths is going behind it. So then only you'll get to know like what all these particular functions will do and how you're going to change the hyperparameters using the cross validation and the grid search CV, which I explained to you in logistic regression. Using that, you can change the hyperparameters. Now, we train a model. Now, what you're going to do with the model? We're just going to test it. Now, model predict, and we pass the test value of we pass the x test value. So what you're going to get is a y predicted. Now, model.predict probability. Now, this particular function, model.predict probability, like PROBA only, probas, let's say it proba, but it stands for probability. Now, as I told you, when you're giving the data, like test of X, the logistic regression will give you, for each and every input, it will give you two output. If it's a binary classification, it will give you two output. What is the probability of it being yes, or what is the probability of it being no, or what is the probability of it being if it's a binary classification, you're gonna have only two answers, yes or no, or one or zero. Let's take it for this particular reason, it's gonna be one or zero. It's one or zero. So it's giving you the output. What is the probability of it being yes? What's the probability of it being no? Or what is the probability of it being zero? And what is the probability of it being one? So as you can see, for each and every value of x, as I showed you, x test is gonna be three only. X test is going to be 3 only. So very first output that you got will be what is the probability of it being 0 and what is the probability of it being 1. So as you can see in the graph, most of the people who are below 40 are most likely not to take the insurance. So you can see here, what is the X test for? 28. So there's a high probability of it being a 0. 56%, there's a 56% probability of it being 0 and 43% probability of it being 1. Now, using this, we can predict that this thing is saying like, yes, your model, if the guy is 28 years old, he'll not take the insurance. Now we'll see for the next one, which is 45. As I said, as we figured out, like if he's more than 40, he's more likely not to take. He's more likely to take the insurance. As you can see, for 45, it's giving 64% of. There's a 64% chance of it being 1. It means there's a 64% chance of it taking the taking the insurance. What is the third one? 46. Again, if the guy is 46, there's a 65% chance of it taking a 65% chance of it taking a insurance. Now this is what we predicted from our model. Now model score. We can see the model score is 1, which is really weird because I told you if you're getting the model score, no, the model score stands for how accurate it is. It's gonna oscillate between 0 to 1. 1 means your model is 100% accurate. 0.0 means your model is 0% accurate, and you'll get a random value. And I'll show you one more thing here. Like I'll do the train test again. Splitting happened again. Okay, this time also it's 1. Let's see if it doesn't happen again. Okay, because of the really small score, it's gonna be 1 all the time, but it can happen that. Now you can see every time I'm executing the train test split, you can see the test data is changing. I'll execute the function. the test data is changing because it's, as I said, train test split will take random values from the data set. So every time every time you will run the code, you'll get a different value of training and different value of testing. So that's why we use the cross validation, just to make sure that our accuracy is like the accuracy that you're telling the stakeholders are accurate, or they're the average one. They should not feel like, okay, now because we're using on really small data set, our model training score is always 1. So it can happen like sometimes it's not going to be 1, sometimes it's going to change. Or if it's going to be a big data set, it will pakka change. Like from 83%, you'll go for 84%, maybe you'll go for 87%, or from 87%, you'll go to 83%. So you have to get the average of that. That's why we use the cross validation. Now, we can see the model score is 1. It means our model is completely accurate. So that is what logistic regression is. We use logistic, just to wrap it up, logistic regression, we use logistic regression to guess for categorical values, not continuous categorical values. When later you will go on, like most of the time when you have to divide between categorical values, you're not even use logistic regression. You'll go for like CNN and all for category definitions and all. Because when you're making a project for categories, you will be like predicting what is the number it's written on the port. Like you write a number and you want the model to predict like what number it is. Like you have written a handwritten number and you have want a model to predict what number it's written. For that you're gonna use like neural networks and all. So I'm not pakka sure like when you're gonna use logistic regression, but this is what logistic regression is. So I'll show you one more thing. Like when I said that making a linear regression will not gonna work, just imagine we don't have this particular this points. We don't have this outlier points. So if we'll try to make a line for linear regression here only, it will get something like this, some straight line here. Okay, so we could have said that we could have just assumed it took a assumption like we did a linear regression, and if the answer is more, if our output, like the input which you're giving, which is less than 40, then put it in between the not taking like he didn't put the insurance category, and if the answer is more than 40, then put in between the it took the insurance category. So if that happens when we're using the linear regression line, now this is, just imagine this is the linear regression line, like exactly diagonal. But if we have this form, this, let's imagine we don't have this one, but we have this particular points. Now, as we know, linear regression try to minimize the distance from each and every point. So only because we have 2 points here, the line will try to tilt toward these 2 lines, just to make all the average distance small. It may happen like the line will go from here to this side, like a bit tilted towards this point. Now, using the 40 graph, like using the 40 point, we can't judge the, because if we'll have this particular line, it can guess also even the guy is 40, still it's category the guy, like still it's category that the people will not bought the insurance only because we use the logistic regression, and because of some outliers the model got tilted towards the outliers. So that's why we don't use linear regression in this particular scenario. We use the logistic regression. That is what logistic regression is. You have any questions, you can ask me now. Like turn in your microphones and ask, or type and ask. And one more thing, hold on with the questions. What I planned is this stuff, like this particular week, you're not gonna get any projects, because the only thing which I've learned in this week is linear regression, multiple linear regression, logistic, and Legion Lasso. So you cannot make a really good project out of all these particular 4 algorithms. So what I'm planning is, and as I think linear, lasso, ridge, and this one, they have like a huge math behind it. So what I'm telling you is, in this particular Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, just use this time, utilize this time to just revise what I taught you in this particular week. Revise it, see it again and again and again, because there's like so much of math going behind it. Because if you start understanding the math behind it will be really helpful in the future. Like you will understand like what exactly math going behind it. So it will be helpful in a more uh, upcoming classes. You can have a proper idea of, okay, this kind of math is there, we use this kind of function. And also you should try to write small codes of linear regression, small code, just as you can see, logistic regression, the smallest logistic regression which I could have written is just this much long, not even a big, it's not even big. So just try to write your own linear regression model, your own multiple linear regression model, your own region lasso models, just a small one. Just try and let's try and figure it out how to write it, because when you try it on your own, you'll find some really useful information, or some you'll find some error. Then on correcting that error, you'll have some doubts which you will get, which you can ask in the group. And as you know, getting doubts is the best way of learning. So I want to do this. And for the people who didn't complete the previous project, for them, I'm giving you another chance. I uploaded my whole project in the Slack again, in Slack also, as many of you have seen this. You raised your hand, bro. What happened?
No, nothing. Just simply
Checking out what Zoom offers.
yeah, actually.
Okay. So, so everyone who didn't do the project, I'm giving you another chance. Like, do the project, refer to the project which I did and I uploaded, refer to it, try to make it, and try to submit it. So if you can submit it till Sunday, I'll give you the form again. If you'll submit it till Sunday, it will be considered as a completed project. You'll not be lagging behind, like, because the people who submitted, we can calculate, as you know, that you have to get the certificates or you get your money back, depending upon you. You have to complete this course, and not completing the projects will obviously make you ineligible to take the certificates or take your money back. So it's better you complete all the projects and all the assignments or the tasks that provided to you. So just from my side, I'm just giving you one other chance. You have one more week to complete your data visualization project and upload it on the same folder. I'll give you the form again. If you'll complete it till Monday or whatever time I'll decide, you'll be considered as selected, and I'll count as you complete the project. Because as I saw in the form, they're like 40% student out of all of you, 40% student didn't.
Archit,